Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We have another company that partners with SPI, and this company is called Heart Machine. Now, this company has been talked about in the past, and they continue to work with SPI till this day. And unfortunately for them, due to their partnership and also due to the fact that they're just making games that people don't want in mass, they are struggling to make money. They are struggling so much to make money that they now have to resort to going to Patreon and begging their customers, hey, give us more money, even though we haven't really earned it, considering that we're not giving you products that you actually want to play. Because if we were, then let's be real, they would not be struggling to have any money whatsoever.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, I don't really care if they have a Patreon, right? Like, at the end of the day, they could do whatever they want to do. That's not the point. The point is, how many times do we have to tell these companies to give the gamers what they want, right? It's actually a very easy premise. We have seen plenty of studios do exactly that and get rewarded handsomely for it, while all the other studios that are doing activism have to look up excuses as to why they cannot do what that particular studio just did after they just claimed that it was impossible, right? They'll sit there and say, well, no, it's just a sign of the times. The industry is bad. It's all bad. Everybody's struggling right now. And then here you have Game Science just swooping in and taking all that money away from them. It's incredible. And not even just them. Saber did the same thing too with Space Marine. Came in, took all that money. Like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just take it all, since the activists clearly don't want to make any money for their company. So let's get into this article, guys, from SmashJT.com. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Now, again, boys, we got a video here. And first we have an article, and then we have a video. But I'm going to go over the video first. But shout out to SmashJT for a banger article. It says, Reeling Sweet Baby Inc. partner Heart Machine begs for survival on Patreon. And this is basically from a video that he showcased, and he goes into more research, and we'll cover that after the video. But I want to look at the video first, because it is literally just meant to just try to get at your heartstrings, no pun intended, and to try to get money from you. So let's check out the video, and let's see what kind of struggle bus we're dealing with right now.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I run Heart Machine. And we're here to talk about the Patreon. So, state of the industry, not great right now. Games are the greatest form of expression that humans have ever created. Developers have either been laid off or had their roles significantly reduced or affected over the past year alone.
Yeah, why is that? Why is that? Are you going to talk about why that is, or are you just going to gaslight people as to why that is? Why is so many developers being laid off? Why are so many studios closing down? Why is all this happening? And again, I want to be very clear, as I have been in every single one of my videos, this is not solely because of wokeness, but they want to ignore the fact that wokeness is in fact a factor. Unfortunately, it is a factor to your overall performance. It's a factor to the overall perception of your company and your game. It is a factor, and it's a major factor that is growing worse and worse as time goes on. So you're here making a video on Patreon trying to talk about the state of the industry and how hard things are. And oh my God, people are getting laid off. 1/3 of people are getting laid off. Why? Why is that? Anyway, let's continue.
There's a common saying in development that it's a miracle that any games are made at all, let alone good ones. And now it's even more brutal. Over the past 2 years, the industry has rapidly changed, flipped around and turned upside down. Funding for new projects is sparse.
Why is that? Why is that? Why is the industry flipped around and turned upside down over the last couple of years? Gee, I wonder why that is.
Even for successful developers, everything is far more expensive to make. Paths we used to be able to take to create projects no longer exist. You've likely heard about this on some front. It's grim. 30% of all game developers have either been laid off or had their roles significantly reduced or affected over the past year alone.
So, why? I keep asking these questions, and I feel like at this point, if you cannot fund your own video game from your own investments, right? Like you got outside investors or whatever. If you need to now start taking not only outside investors, but also investment from the customers that you're trying to sell a video game to, that's a problem, right? That's got to be a big issue. And forget the wokeness. Let's talk about monetary things. Let's talk about business. Why would that even be sustainable? It seems like the Patreon is an ill thought out band aid that is meant to try to get them to their next project and get them to their next meal instead of teaching them how to fish. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there is clearly a big issue here that you need to really sit down and try to figure out an actual permanent solution. But this Patreon just looks like the quick way out and the quick band-aid for an otherwise complex problem that you don't have an answer for. That's what this all seems like.
Those have closed, many have left, and we at Heart Machine are not immune to this, having gone through layoffs in November of this year. Since the old models are not enough, we have to adapt. So we're asking for support to help us.
Why aren't the old models enough when the old models are enough for a bunch of other studios that are making plenty of money? Why is it not enough? Perhaps what you are doing as a company is not enough. Perhaps the way that you are trying to reach out to your customers and showcase your games, or even perform, or even just the product that you're giving them. Perhaps the product is not enough. It's not the funding that's the problem. The funding will come if you sell them a product that they actually want. The issue is that you're not selling them a product they actually want. You're trying to sell them a product that you want, right? And you want them to pay for it. That's really what it is. You want the gamers to pay for the product that's not even meant for most of them. That doesn't make any sense.
To continue to not just survive, but to thrive. To help us prototype and build new projects, to help support us when the state of the industry has made it so much harder to exist. Ever since we got started, back in the Kickstarter days.
The state of the... Wow. The state of the industry makes it hard for you to exist because you are ideological psychopaths, most likely. Let's be very clear, right? You're working with a company like SBI. I'm not going to put it past you. And if you guys got this far in the video, I wonder how many of you realize that this guy has fucking nail polish on his goddamn nails. I mean, this is the kind of man that we're dealing with here. The kind of man that puts nail polish on his fingers. And I know there's going to be some people out there to be like, oh, I'm manly. I got nail polish on. Yeah, okay. Keep telling yourself that. Still, at the end of the day, man, this is what we're dealing with here. The chances of him being an ideological psychopath is probably very high up there. And while he's definitely trying to pull at the strings, you know what I mean? Pull at the heart and try to just be that normal guy, right? That normal guy who's just asking for help. Please help, right? Please help. Please help. I'm sure that that's what he's trying to portray. But ultimately, the product is the problem, right? Capitalism is a thing. And your product is not what people are looking for. Your product is not what people are buying. Clearly, because now and it's funny, you think that you're going to be able to get money from the same people who didn't buy your product? Make that make sense. Like, how exactly is that going to work, right? You'll probably get more support on your Patreon than you would actually selling the game. Make that make sense.
Days, we've been big on talking directly to our audience. And we think this Patreon is an opportunity for us to do more on this front.
Well, instead of talking to your audience, maybe you should talk with them. I mean, what do I know?
Also benefiting. There are a few key goals that we have in mind for this Patreon. One, to give a more thorough and deep insight into our own process and what it takes to make games. We'll be sharing exclusive write-ups, videos, concept art, design documents, GIFs, etc. from all of our projects past and present. Two, to share more about the issues in the industry that are driving the state of turmoil, e.g. corporate consolidation, overspending, accelerating costs, and a changing market. And three...
So you're going to use the money from the Patreon to talk about the reasons why you believe the industry is suffering without actually addressing some of the elephants in the room that you will not address. That seems like a huge waste of money for the gamers who would give you money on that Patreon in order to get that sort of information when they could get it from a YouTuber for free. It just seems a little odd to me.
To reach a bigger audience with more transparency in an otherwise notoriously opaque industry in the hope that we can share and do our part to help others better navigate and survive.
Well, I like the transparency thing, so that's good. Transparency is good, and he's right. It's a very opaque industry. They do not want transparency in this industry, so it is good to see a developer say they're going to offer more transparency. It's just quite unfortunate that somebody has to pay for that transparency, but okay.
We all love games. We're here because it's an industry driven by passion.
No,
but
it used to be. It's not anymore.
Never been easy. And we've been making titles that we're extremely proud of for 10 years now. And we want to make sure we can stick around for another 10. Approaches like this Patreon are part of what it takes to make sure of that. To get through the toughest times and come out ultimately better. We hope that you enjoy the content and inside access that we're providing here. And thank you so much for your support.
All right, so Again, very basic. The guy is just begging for support at this point because he's not getting it. But whatever that reason is, he is not get. Look at this picture. Broke. That's great. He's not getting it. Whatever that reason may be, he's just not getting it. Heart Machine is not getting that level of support anymore. And it's unfortunate for them, but perhaps the product is the issue. This is why I talk about this all the time. You can try to blame everybody else as much as you want. You can try to make it seem like it's the industry's fault, right? It's the industry. It's the big bad industry. They're so greedy, monetary, blah, 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 whatever. They're so bad. You could do that. But ultimately, it's going to come down to you at some point in time. And you're going to have to sit there and admit to yourself whether that's actually true or not. And most of the time, it's not going to be true. Most of the time, it's the product that's the problem. Because we've seen studios that are navigating the same waters as you that are just killing it right now because they decided to give gamers what they actually wanted instead of talking to them, right? They listened to them and talked with them and gave them what they wanted in their own creative way. Whereas you are trying to talk down to people or talk to people and give them what you want in your own creative way. There has to be a balance here. And what you're doing right now, that's not it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.